So I understand why people had them. All of it was true is what I'm getting at. All of it was true. I have empathy for them. I think the memes were terrible. I understand why people are making the memes. We're getting to a place where we almost have zero empathy for rich people because the differences are getting so dramatic in our society. And I agree. Why are we not giving more coverage to this tragedy in Greece off the coast of migrants? I mean, like hardly any story. 3 days ago was like the last one I could find. That's so crazy. Anyhow, that's all my thoughts. So I understand. People are saying the plastic window got me on the submarine. I mean, look, the remote control. I'm with a lot. Now you're hearing a lot of people who like could have gotten on but backed out because of safety concerns. Good for them. I mean, woo, you talk about a spooky intuition. Woof. And aren't you glad in a way you're not rich? Like, thank God I didn't have the $250,000 to jump on board. He wasn't calling me. You know what I mean? See, there I go. Now I'm jumping off the bandwagon, making jokes. That little remote control Nintendo PS4, PS18, whatever he had that was running the thing. I was like, oh. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And also, this is the thing about rich people too. They always think that they can like do all these like very rich people things, right? They always like think they can fly their own planes and captain their own ships. And how many times do we see this happen? It was like that Gwen Shamblin. Did you watch that documentary, The Way Down? Oh my God, it's so good. Gwen Shamblin was this religious teacher in the South, and she ended up getting with this hot guy who was kind of a con artist and said, oh, he was like a part-time pilot, and ended up crashing them in their private jet. Horrible, horrible. So anyhow, there's my rant. All right, let's talk about having a molar pregnancy. Before we do that, we have to thank a couple of sponsors. BostonHernia.com. Go to their website, specifically my link, bostonhernia.com/TSFS. Summer is upon us. If your man bends down and lifts something too hard, he could pop a hernia. I'm not sure if that's how it goes. I think like the muscle wall ends up like weakening and then it pops over time. Regardless, 10% of all men will have a hernia sometime. 25% of all men will have a hernia sometime in their lifetime, and 10% of all women. The thing about hernia surgery, which I learned from the doctors at bostonhernia.com, because they are top doctors in the country. Go to their website. I tell you guys all the time with my advertisers, I love them. I vet them, but you should also go and read and do your own research. It's very important. But they ended up telling me and informing me that hernia surgery is a surgery that, if done incorrectly, can lead to chronic pain and may have to be repeated. It's one of those surgeries that needs to be done by an expert. And that's why you have to go to bostonhernia.com/TSFS. They accept almost all insurance. And even if you're not in the Boston area, but your man or you have a hernia, you're going to want to do a telehealth meeting with them. Very, very important, because they can help you be referred to someone, no matter where you are in the nation, that is an expert in hernia surgeries. There's 4 different types of hernia surgeries that you could potentially have. And if you don't have the right one, it can end in chronic pain and a repeat surgery. Go to bostonhernia.com/TSFS. Also download the Marble app. Marble is an app. Oh, we love Marble. It's a free app for people who love podcasts. What does Marble do? MARBYL.com. You can download it for free in your Android app store or the Apple app store. And Marble allows you to search for a phrase or a podcast topic. Submarine, implosion. If you want to hear much more educated and informed people's takes on it than me, Marble is the app, because it will help find snippets and full podcast episodes of any topic under the sun. I refer to Marble app almost like the Chat GPT for podcasters. So get discovering new podcast shows and your favorite topics when you download the Marble app for free. Okay, a molar pregnancy. What is a molar pregnancy? A molar pregnancy is when 2 sperm fertilize 1 egg. It is extremely rare for this to happen. Okay, and it happened to me back in 2019, the very first time I got pregnant. It happens to people like 1 in 5,000. I mean, it might even be higher than that, or the odds lower than that. You know what I mean? Very, very rare. 2 sperm fertilize 1 egg, which gives the baby a double set of chromosomes, and the baby cannot live. Now, these are so rare. If you're under the age of 35, the hard part is you may not even find this out until you miscarry or you go for like that 12-week, 13-week scan. I was like 36, I think at the time, 37. I had no symptoms, which completely sucked. Well, in hindsight, I did have symptoms. So we get pregnant the first time, and the whole time, I went to, and the scary part about a molar pregnancy is lots of times you can have a molar and a partial molar. A molar is when you have no fetus at all, just a bunch of cysts grow in your uterus. Partial molar is when you have a fetus, but cysts begin to grow around the uterus and in the uterus and placenta and your ovaries. So the first couple of appointments I went to, everything was fine. Like normal heartbeat was detected. And I was feeling cocky at the time. I thought, I got pregnant the first time I tried. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to go on and have all my other babies. Everything is great. So, you have to go to a high risk doctor because I was over the age of 35. And I go into the high risk and you just, in hindsight, it all makes sense, right? So I was going to say, in hindsight, one of the symptoms I did have was my sides ached a fair amount. So, which I didn't realize, like in a normal, healthy pregnancy, you have aches and pains, but they go away. Like I would have side aches, like at night, like I would wake up and I was like, God, that's weird. I guess my muscles must be expanding or something, but I had side aches kind of constantly. And when I went for that 12-week sonogram, again, like really in hindsight, something's wrong because the woman doing the sonogram was extremely quiet. So she brings up the picture because, when you have your first sonogram visit, you have a transvaginal sonogram, right? So they stick that wand in your vagina so they can get a better picture of the baby. So we see this fetus and I'm thinking, oh my God, everything is great. Like, look at our baby. I'm like, wow, look at our baby. And our baby was kind of like, almost like hiccuping, when you had you've had like a sonogram, you can sometimes see your child hiccup. Anyway, the baby was kind of moving in this weird way. I was like, why is it doing that? When I tell you the sonogram woman did not say a thing. She didn't even, and it was so quiet. She didn't have that sonogram up 3 minutes. And she was like, I'm going to go get the doctor. I'll be right back. The doctor comes in. Dr. Kelly Orzechowski. By the way, if you are in Virginia, I have the two best doctors in the country who I love to have a baby. Dr. Winterling was my primary OBGYN, Ingrid Winterling. This is not an endorsement. I don't get paid by them, although I wish I did because they would be my favorite endorsement. Dr. Ingrid Winterling was my regular OBGYN, and Dr. Kelly Orzechowski at Virginia Hospital Center was my high risk. These two women are like, 5 stars. I would trust them with my life. They can save your life. Dr. Orzechowski did. That's another story. Anyway, she comes in and she says, look, I hate to tell you this. Hi, I'm Dr. Orzechowski, but you're having a molar pregnancy and your baby is not going to live. It was like, oh my God, you guys, like you talk about being punched in this. It was like, you couldn't even believe it. We were like, but you can't be, when I tell you, like, I know how people can fall for conspiracies and stuff. I was like, I think she's lying. We had a fetus and a heartbeat. There has to be something, she has to be doing this for some other reason. She said, well, I want you to go home and think about it, but I can tell you right now, you should really think about, I don't think she's put it in these terms, but maybe like a medical abortion, but I think terminating the pregnancy because this baby wasn't going to live. Even if the baby lived to term, like they only live like a day or two, they have tons of deformities. So I said, okay, we left there. I called Dr. Winterling. I was like, I have to get a second opinion. I don't think I believe her. I got a second opinion. By the time we went to the second opinion, the baby had already passed. There was no heartbeat. Okay. So you think, all right, so the next things are you're grieving this miscarriage and they're saying, you need to go to therapy. Thank God my husband and I have this great therapist and I have a DNC. And so they say, okay, well, you have a DNC. The baby had passed. You have to wait 6 months because you're going to have to do these blood draws every 2 weeks to make sure your HCG level is dropping because HCG is the pregnancy hormone that tells you that you're pregnant. And if your body isn't flushing that out, you might be experiencing gestational trophoblastics disease, which is a form of pregnancy cancer. I'm like, pregnancy? I didn't even know you could get a pregnancy cancer from a miscarriage. It was wild. So at first my HCG dropped and then it started to rise. And they said, well, you have gestational tromblastic disease, you're going to have to start doing methotrexate shots, which is a shot that they put in your butt cheek. Not pleasant, by the way. Ask for a smaller gauge needle because it's a tough one. It's like it has a big like gauge needle and they like stick it in. It's like, oh, really jabs. You know how like when you get your blood drawn, it really doesn't hurt? The methotrexate one, if you don't do a smaller gauge needle, it stings. So I'm getting ready to go to gestational, to go to my first methotrexate, injection, right? My first shot. And I wake up one day and I'm hemorrhaging, which by the way, they warned me. They were like, no, look, this never happens. We can't even believe, like, you're the only person in our 20-year practice that's ever had gestational tromblastic disease from a partial molar. It's more common if you have a molar pregnancy, full molar, which is there's no fetus. I'm like, fucking, I'm one of these people, the 1%, I tell you what, and it goes either way for me. This is why I think I'll probably be worth like $100 million because the 1% hits me in both directions. I swear. Like I'll get the 1% chance of something never happening in both ways. Actually, I got to see if I won the lottery on Saturday night. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. Yes, I do play the lottery now. So many people in California win the lottery. I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm going to win.